It started. Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala khairul mursaleen Muhammadin al-Nabi al-Ummi wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd, yaqulu Allahu ta'ala fil Quran al-Kareem. Inna Allaha wa malaikatuhu yusalluna ala nabi ya ayyuha alladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu tasliman. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Maulana Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Okay, for this talk, I guess this is called Ayats of Replacement or Substitution or Exchange. The Quran uses some statements, like, for instance, Ayats of Replacement that give you the idea that Allah will exchange or replace or substitute others in your place. You know, like, and this is a long historical process. That means Allah have, throughout history, Allah have exchanged, substituted whole civilizations. And the ayats that are there are ayats in the historical process. There are signs in nature. There's signs in the human being. There's signs everywhere. And they used to have trackers that could track animals, you know, a lot of Indians in it, because they hunted all the time. And there were signs. They could tell the signs. If you were in Arabia and you dealt with battles all the time, if you ran across an encampment, you could tell what the camel's been eaten by what they, what they give off, and all those things. Those are signs. Okay, I'm not going to brag or anything, but we've been hitting it out of the park so long and so consistent that it's unbelievable. And we'll go over a few of those things. And we have to think about our own history. Every time something came up in the last decades, we talked about the policy of exchange and replacement. You know, and it just so happens that if it was a ball game, we wouldn't be batting 1,000. We would be batting over. It would be plus. It would be like 1,100. The best the good guys would be batting 325, 350, extraordinary, and hardly ever anything close to 400. Okay, but I want you to think about our batting average or our forecasting ability. If you go back to the war, Hezbollah, 2006, I think it was, right? What that came out to be. 2011, what that came out to be. So every time we have made some forecast or what have you, it came out a certain way. And this time I just want to bring it up because, see, the U.S. cuts off everybody else's news. They isolate, and so we're fed what they talking about. Okay, that used to be the case that we had to deal with them, but I think our accuracy is improving. I'm gonna just answer this just for a minute to see. This is no, okay. I'll just answer this right quick. Salam alaikum.
Alaikum assalam, Imam. How are you doing?
Cool, highly cool. Very good. Only thing is, we're having a class right now.
Okay. All right. I sent you a web page that I designed, and I wanted to see if you'd like something like that.
Okay.
Maybe later today?
Yeah, right after class. I'll
Okay.
call you back. Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
Islam. Okay. That's part of the whole process. There's an Iranian guy in California that hooked up a web page. He looked at our stuff and he said, "This is what you need. This sort of help." Da, 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 da. I said, "Well, just package something. Let's see what it looked like." But anyway, uh, maybe other people look at it different. But I feel like right now, today, best way I can put it. See, if you come up and you strike out one time, then you get a pop up, then you get a this or that, then you're going along normally. But if every time you come up to bat, you strike out, right? Or if the pitcher know how to pitch real good, he'll tell you, "I'm going to throw you one right down the middle. See what you do. You think you bad? You do it then. See what." And he throw it right down the middle, just like he said he was going to do, but he put spin on the ball. And boss man hits it, and it goes you think it was going to go out of the park because of the width, but it's going up, 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 then it started coming down, boop, and it's caught. But the power that he put on it, if it was a line drive-ish type hit or one of them more, it would go all the way out of the park. That's the way we do boss man. We've been doing them like that. It's not even, well, I won't lie, it's still fun. No, but you got to think about it. Look, who are we? Who are they? What's the world? You got to answer those questions. Okay. So never forget the Quran, the Sunnah, and history. And then our part here, we selected a part that that's the Negro part. And we're going to put this do. When we go out, we talking nigger talk. You know what I mean? You can tell that we understand Islam and Arabic and all that, but we're not coming that way, because that's not the way we got it. That's not the way we didn't get it like that. Okay, so what we giving back, we're standing up for our time and our period and what we have to offer history at this time. That's what we're doing. And that's why we're presenting it like we're not trying to, I don't know if you ever see Negro, alhamdulillah. I said, "What's wrong with you niggas, man? What, you can't talk no more?" Because they do it. They'll get in it. And, I mean, we're not going to do that. It's the thing of having confidence in who you are, where you are, and the time. Don't worry about everybody else. When everybody else, even now, they look at where we're coming from, they wouldn't want to do that. That's why we got a free hand. That job, that's a big job. I don't want it. Not only I don't want the job, I don't want to be nowhere around it. So it's like the best job in world history, and nobody wants it. It's not like the guy that the guy that accepts the responsibility. The Quran say he was kind of foolish. We're not foolish. We're accepting this gladly. Okay. When you going on a journey, especially on a plane, they got a checklist, right? When you're taking off, okay, landing gear. No matter how many times you did it, there's a checklist. Yeah, and you can't just say, "Yeah, I've been doing this so long, I don't need no list." You know what I mean? Which technically you don't, but you're gonna go up write down that list. If you don't, you're out of order. You know what I mean? You got to go by the okay, flaps, whatever they call it, landing gear. You know what I mean? Okay. What we've been doing is we've been going by the checklist of history. The taking off and landing of empires. We've been doing it all along. But what they do at the beginning and their initial stage, you know what I mean, and how they get rolling. And if you were to take the United States, no matter how much criminal activity it did, it was on the way up and you couldn't do, that's the way it is. It's going up. No matter how good you were, no matter what a military strategist you was, if you came along at that time of ascendancy of this criminal empire, you got pushed aside. You have to depend on martyrdom and the hereafter and all of that, And it did make no difference how good you were. To the historical process, it makes a difference for revelation. It makes a difference for you be a hero in your environment, whether you're Native American or whether it was Denmark vising them or whoever. You get your credit, you get your stuff, but you're not the thing that you would like to have happened is not going to happen at that time, right? That's why you trust in Allah for your reward. We do. Okay. That's why there's a takeoff and landing process. We follow that. That's why we get everything. We follow it, right? But it don't sound like it, but we follow the historical process. Okay. We follow the historical reality. That's why our forecasts are very accurate. And I'm saying that this time because, see, this is like say, the umpteenth time in a row on the surface that we all can remember. Well, that was pointed out, That's what happened, okay? This one was too. This one right now, the news last week, the first day, all the news, they cut off everybody where you might get good news. We said, don't worry about that. The boss man, the good God Almighty, he's in trouble, and that's the way it is. And we went on about our business. And if you watch the UN, the Kenyan ambassador would be saying, this is a terrible thing, you know what I mean? And that's a trap. Oh, it's a big trap. Why? Because 3 days later, all the people from Kenya gonna be getting, you bunch of niggas. This is the white folks train. Worse than apartheid. Not from the people, but from the government, right? The Ukrainian people actually helped some of the students and everything. But the governments, it's worse than this is technically, this thing that happened is so bad, it don't look, it's so bad for the West, it's incomprehensible. And then the news people will say, why, basically, I'm just ad-libbing, why, these are civilized white folks. They're civilized, they're educated, they're just like your neighbor. What the hell? They're all right. And then, they're educated too. They're going to the university. Those people are not there begging for the benefits of their society. They're bringing money in from where they are to their university system. Remember, it says they're all students. And where do they come from? Anywhere dark. I saw people from Morocco. There's Indian students, right? African students by the bucket load. And they said I said, oh no, the white folks didn't say that. You can't get on, and then like I was just watching some of the interviews. No, we were there, and sometimes the men would be talking, and we tried to get our family on there, and they pushed us to the back. They said, you can get on next. Then that went on for days. And finally, you know what I mean? And that's what I said, man, it's not that's good, but what it is the manifestation of defects. That's what we call it. All the cracks, this one right here, this is the worst one. This is worse than other stuff. All the defects in everything, all the cracks in the system. And this got everybody involved because all the bootlickers came out at the UN. Yes, that's terrible. Then 3 days later, all they citizens got to get at the back of the line. You niggas can't get on this train. But our children, and then the TV, the phone, it looks, well, it's reality, but it looks pretty bad. It looks pretty bad that you're not, oh yeah, you bringing money in, you're not robbing, you're not, evidently they're all university students, right? They're helping their universities. They're bringing money from the outside to the inside. They're helping their economy. But y'all just have to wait. And then, the Negro not used to all that cold, and you could see them shivering and talking to the thing. I said, look, the longer it goes, the worse it gets. And you could see where it's headed for the decline and set in. But also the manifestation of defects means that everything that they do, now you got to remember, the United States did this to itself because Putin is telling them, hey man, and they won't study history. They refuse to accept that 27 million Russians was killed by Germans. Right? And that 5 out of 6 Germans killed during World War II was killed by Russians. And remember, when they wanted to punish you in Germany, they would put you on the Eastern Front, that's fighting the Russians. And remember, they had to come all the way back from Stalingrad. They had to come back through not 1,000 miles, but say 500, 700, 800 miles of their own country. And they going through villages. And they you know what I mean, that's been destroyed. Women been raped and murdered. Museums torn down. So by the time they get to Germany, that's why they let the U.S. let the Russians. They say, you guys can have it. Berlin, because the Russians is juiced up. Every time they get to a Russian village, they see what's been happened to their people. You know what I mean? And by the time, I'm not saying that, the Russians was raping women in Germany that was 68 years old and stuff. They were so mad. You know what I mean? That's one of the oldest ones that was raped. Why? Because they raped all the Russian women. They raped them and then killed them, burned them up, or let them freeze to death. It's wintertime, so just throw them out there and they'll freeze, right? They'll freeze and then they'll wait till the spring. They'll thaw out and rot, But that's what the Russians saw. So when they telling the people, see, technically, historically, the reason, y'all probably heard of Yalta, and you heard of all the Tehran conference in 43 and others in 40. They were deciding the future. When they started coming together, they was deciding, they had survived 41, 42. So by 43, they're deciding the future of the war And by 44, they're discussing the end of, and so from Napoleon's time up to Hitler's time, Poland and all them countries was a buffer for Russia. After the fall, so actually the Russians just incorporated all of those countries so that ain't nobody, you can't come get us because you're going to have to go through a whole lot to get to us. So Germany called it Lebensraum. It looked at living space. Germany highly recognized it needed living space for its people. So it looked at everybody around and said, yeah, that's a nice living space for us. That's why they invaded Russia. Lebensraum, that's what they call it. Okay. Now, if you've been invaded like that 2 times, well, more than that, but 2 big times, and the last time just happened. So you're going to build a much buffer between them or anybody over there, Germany or anybody else, coming our way. When the Soviet Union collapsed, they gave the Russians a promise. We will not incorporate any of those people into, NATO. They didn't write it down. You know how the white man is. Even if you write it down, he's going to cut your throat anyway. Even if you just sign that, boss, shoot, that's somebody did that. That ain't my signature. I didn't say that. Okay. Well, so Russia put up with that over and over again. Did it with Poland, did it with other places. So now they got Ukraine. Now Ukraine had been incorporated into Russia. Nikita Khrushchev was from Ukraine. Yeah, the Battle of Stalingrad, he was the one that put that together. He was we will bury you, old Khrushchev. Anyway, so they didn't discriminate when they brought you in. You could be Shevardnadze. Shevardnadze is from Georgia up there. Georgia. He ain't from the heart of Russia. Khrushchev was from Ukraine, way over there. What they're talking about now. He was Ukrainian. Khrushchev. You can see his name. Okay, so. And anybody else in the Russian Empire could become a general or anything. They had all kind, because they got a whole lot of kind of people in the thing. And you are a red. Well, you could go on up to the top. Don't make no difference. Now, if you get out of line, we're gonna got a place over there called Siberia, and we'll have you and your whole crew. Now, I'm just telling you, you can do what you want here. But if you don't do what we want, you're going over there. It ain't like the way boss, no matter what you do with boss man here, you just a nigga. From then on out. I mean, there ain't nothing you can do about it. And I mean, if you're a general, you're a nigga general. Right? That's just what you are. Okay? Anyway, so this is one of those times when no matter what happens, it's bad. Why? Because the decline is in. It doesn't make any difference. So they bring in all the Europeans. But the Europeans are not for this. Because they done just showed you with the French and with the Australians. America done showed all the Europeans what we think about y'all, We'll fight to the last European. After all, it's just in the Atlantic. It ain't but 3,000 miles. But ain't nobody going to get to us. So we're going to, all this trouble, you're going to fight it. Yeah, we're not into this, I mean, excuse me. We are going to fight to the last German. And if we want to cut off anything Hell, you guys can freeze to death. Who cares? I mean, after all, that's what he's telling the Europeans, right? That's what it means. That's the way they're reading it, too. You don't hear it on their news, but everybody else's news is saying this is how they look at it. And then the Arabs, we would have thought the Arabs was all down with this, but the Arabs is saying, even Saudi Arabia, hey, you talking bad to me last week? I'm a murderer. I cut people up and put them in bags. Yeah, okay. Bump you. Well, can't you drop the oil prices? Shoot. We fanning the flames. Shoot, oil. One thing says the oil will be up to it's 116 now, but they saying by tomorrow. See, a lot of people don't realize what 116, 115 is. They say it's headed toward breaking those old records, and it's possible. Remember the old records was 149, 147? Yeah. Huh?
I'm joking. I'm saying, I guess I'm walking everywhere.
See, okay, out here you wouldn't. You have to be in California to realize when you drive by things. Like right now, I'm sure you could look up things. It'll be six. Some places will be $6 a gallon. Yeah, $6 a gallon. Okay, out here it's going to be in Texas, Oklahoma, some of those places, whatever it is, it might be $1 cheaper, sometimes $2 cheaper. Like when I drive back and forth, I know where the gas prices are the high, so I just fill up. I don't have no gas can or nothing, but I wish I had, so I could drive through those expensive areas, and then you get to other places. Well, when you get to California, these places in Arizona, those gas stations for the highway, it's a line for 20 miles already, because people are getting ready to go into California. And they know it. They got them big old, you ought to see them big old luxury rolling homes and stuff. Good God Almighty. Well, a fill up for those, like, it's hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So if you buy the right, you could save $100 just like this by buying in Arizona. Because if you go right across, as soon as you cross into California, it's going to jump $1.50, right? So that's why in Arizona, you don't see no lines in California. Why ain't nobody stopping in California? If they got enough, look at their tank, and it's enough, just enough. You might see cars and run out of gas on the way trying to get to Arizona. Got one more mile to go. I know I can make it. You know what I mean? You see all that on the highway. But you don't see nobody, right, in Arizona running out of gas. When they run out, they're going to run out in California. Because anyway, so now if you look at the gas prices, the oil prices, and everybody is, well, you can see some of the political stuff like, oh yeah, we might, you notice they talking about dropping if you notice the JPOA, COA, whatever it is, that no, they're not hollering about that much now. In other words, they done already loosened up on that. They done loosened up on Iran. Iran is selling 1.5 million barrels a day. Well, it was down to 500,000 barrels a day. They never did get it to squash it. But they selling 1 million barrels of oil per day, and now recent stuff is up to over 1.5 million, headed toward 2. Now they'll be allotted about 3 million gallons. But Iran is already hustling up enough money on the side. And with this, see, they ain't saying we don't want you, you can't buy none of their stuff. They're not saying nothing. But technically, this negotiation they're doing, America has already relaxed. They didn't already relax the thing. They haven't said nothing about it because they're arrogant and stupid. You know what I mean? They're already loosening up. Well, they gotta loosen up. Why is the gas and oil? So it's not only food inflation. Just imagine now. With food, with all that, Ukraine is running out of food right now. It's running out of food. And of course, a grain and everything. And Ukraine has those big, might as well be like Kansas, some big fields of wheat and all of that. Okay. But they blocking off the Baltic Sea, all those areas where they can't export none of it and can't nothing come in. So, but now Russia is 8, 9, 10, I don't know how many, I forget time zones. 11 time zones. The United States, as big as it is 4 time zones. 4. Well, from here to there, 4, you live in, technically it's 3 hours difference between East Coast and so, although it is 4 time zones, you actually live in 3 differences. It's not a 4-hour difference on the West Coast, it's a 3 hour. Anyway. So everything, and this is kind of a semi-surprise because nobody thought that the West would just keep pushing and pushing at a time when they're weak. But, okay, they always find a dummy, a stooge. Ukraine, you just tell them, you just do this and we got you covered. You hear what what's the name? He was a comedian anyway, so he's not politically savvy. And now he feels bad. Why y'all ain't doing what you said you was gonna do? You told me if I go out there and jump off the building with flaming drawers, you have you spray me down and all of that. And he jumped off. You know, and when he jumped off, that means Russia came in. They had to come in because they have been invaded before. And you got to understand where they coming from. We don't want y'all. Hey man, we didn't you come in knocking over, although it was a generation and a half ago, 3 generations ago, those people don't forget. They honor those old people who was in that war. They still come out with medals hanging down here, and they are 100 years old. That's good. In Ukraine and everywhere else. And then, even the Jews, I don't know if you ever heard of this. When I first heard of it, actually, Baba Yar, first time I heard about it was, you remember they had Roots? It was on the TV years ago. Okay, it was all those series. Then, so the Jews, the Zionists, saw how popular it was, so then they came out with the Holocaust, remember? After that, did you ever see? I don't remember. You was young. But they came out with a series, just like Roots, except it was about the Holocaust. Yeah, they put out this thing and it worked. Woo-hoo, look what they did with the Negroes. It was popular. So now, hey, the next year, that might have came out 76, 77. Next year, 78, they was out with their own stuff. a series. And it was, I mean, the TV was packed. That's when you couldn't watch nothing but the TV. And hey, man, the people watched the Holocaust and they brainwashed everybody. But when I was looking at the other day, I remember one of the places, Baba Yar. And I look, wait a minute. I remember all them other places. Dachau. I visited Dachau when I was 71, something like that. But I looked, I said, Baba Yar, Baba Yar. Oh, that's in Ukraine. One of the death camps, one of the big ones. And I remember when I looked at it today or last night, Baba Yar. So your mind goes back to it. Oh, I remember it was a scene on TV when they had some Jews running naked and getting in the get, getting in them trenches. No, they just putting them in. They was walking down into getting in the trench. Imagine you so scared, instead of running away, you get in a ditch. You know you're gonna die. That's scared. I'd be scared too, but I'd just try to, I'd be cussing it and biting it and trying to get away. You never know. But anyway, the trends of history. Some kind of way we piped into it. I mean, you could tell. Okay. So therefore, we're doing our part by what we're doing now. We're doing our part. Okay, there's some stuff that you see, it doesn't make a difference. It's not our part to do. We got to do this, we got to do that. It's pretty clear what's been laid out all along. We've been doing it, and we're doing a wonderful job. By forecasting, predicting, and showing. And remember, we're colored. And to beat the white folks at the game every time, to beat every, what do they call them? Every think tank, every institute, to beat them bad every time, at everything, all the time. All in a row, and we're Negroes. And we got it on the thing, that right there. See, it was a big game. And I'm going to try to explain it. That we made analysis of what we're doing. We've been doing it all along. And see, longevity gives you time to see a lot of stuff and to put together your process. And boss man, his thing is, he's a dummy. Oh, I'm telling you, he's a dummy. Because he's trying to stop us from bringing everybody together, Islamic movement. Like that's what, okay. Well, that's third time around. So that may not gonna work at this time. So what is the movement? What part are we gonna play in this? So then you got to look at all that stuff. You got to weigh and measure, and then you select. You have to select on behalf of your people and your mission. You have to select what might be helpful. And you have to select it at the time where it's... so there's sometimes when you do things and it's not the time for it. Like they say something about it's nothing greater than an idea whose time has come. You can have an idea, but it's time. It's not right for that. Okay. Our idea, you have to imagine what we're doing. You got to imagine what they're doing. Are they paying attention? They paying 1,000,000% attention. I can have a family member distract me and take me off to the store and go away, and I come back and I drank some coffee this morning out of the old batch. Bam! I was just out. So I said, let me go to my other batch. So, boop, you can see how I am now. But I'm telling you, an hour and a half ago, I'm studying and I just, this is in the morning now. I don't need no sleep. How did I get here? I said, oh no, old mean old boss man. And then I go back over. I said, yesterday, the boss man pulled me off. I mean, I know his trend, but he's so tricky all the time that if you got to get used to him. He'll just do dumb stuff all the time. So man, I'm drinking Starbucks, and they got this kind that's 2 times as much caffeine. I don't know if y'all ever saw. It's twice the caffeine. So I get the kind that's twice the caffeine. And when you drink it clean and everything, bam, yes sir. Okay, so I put 2, so it's got 4 times. I get one brand and I mix it with the other brand. The other brand is super duper. I just drink that brand. And I be high. I get high. I tell you the truth. Now, this didn't start today. It started on the other brand of coffee I liked. And it had, when I'd be right here, back there, that's when they first started 20-something years ago. Because boss man want to interfere with your program. So, California and all the stores, it'll have the stores. Boss man be paying attention. So, it's a coffee that's supplied to some of the Arab stores. But a lot of these stores, like the Ethiopian store down there, and used to be a few around, they'd have that brand of coffee. It's an Egyptian coffee. And I love it. And, but I'd pop a cup down there and bam. I said, oh, mean old boss man. Because he don't want you to, he's gonna study you and what do you do? So I get up, read the Quran, pray, read the Quran, drink coffee, and then go run and lift weights and what have you. So he want to interrupt so right now, I let him do it. I don't try to, because I done got used to him doing that. So I will prosper in spite of what them doing that. So, because this is tricky, you have to study history yourself and everything. And so, in this process of longevity, boss man, whatever he putting in there, it just relaxes you and puts you to sleep. So I look like, well, in the long run, whatever boss man take off on this end, Allah gonna put it in on the other end. That's the way I feel about it. So if I look at it like this, whatever boss man put in the coffee or whatever he do, it's gonna be a muscle relaxer, a tension relaxer. So I look at it, I just add it up like that. That boss man is helping me live a longer life, right? And if I'm not energetic, right, I'll just go out to the thing. Sometimes I just go out and I walk a little bit in the woods. Shoot, and I sit down. And if it's a nice day like today or some of these days, shoot, I just sit out there and whistle and look. Then I walk on back. I said, who cares? I know when I go to California, I'll run. After I'm there a week, I'll be in top shape. Well, top shape for 77. But I learned something from running marathons. and all of that. Sometimes you could run so much, you could wear your body out. Like, I don't say that I shouldn't have did it, but if I ran 8 or 10 miles a day for years, 20 years, 30, whatever it was, I could have ran 3 or 4 miles and got, that's enough. You'll be rolling, but you get so addicted. So, Allah may just want you to relax a little bit. Take it easy. You want to be running when you're 100? Well, walking when you're 100? Well, take it easy. So the white man will put stuff in your stuff, and you say, oh, the white man is going to help me. Take it easy. You got to look at it like that. Why not? He's going to give you, because he's going to slow you down, slow your heart. It's going to be a sedative. Right? And you just take it easy. So when the boss man puts something in, I just, oh, shoot. I gotta get up. Let me go. I used to go take caffeine. I used to go anything to get back into my routine. I don't do that no more. I don't need no caffeine. I'm 100 years old now, and I want to be 150. Therefore, the white man is going to help me get to, right? So far, here I am. I got a call last night. One of my friends from the neighborhood, he passed away. I get all the calls I get now is like that. Yeah, man, so-and-so just passed away. Oh, my goodness. Hey, man, so-and-so. So I said, shoot. Everybody is leaving, Okay. So eventually I'm going to be gone, but at the right time, when Allah wants me to leave, not when boss man wants you to leave. And one thing about it, we can already see where boss man is headed. So we don't have to be around another to witness it. He's headed in a historical direction. He can't do nothing right. He won't do nothing right. He's locked into a historical pattern. He wouldn't do right if it kills him, which it will. He's like the other people we read about. In the Quran and the Hadith and history, we followed all of them. Boss man got the historical disease. He's wrapped up in history. And this thing right now, this is a surprise thing, the stuff going on. But everything that would harm him, that's what happened. Okay, the way we anticipate certain things are going to happen in the near future. Well, Ukraine wasn't on the thing. If we go back a few months ago, it was there, but it wasn't necessarily the up and comer, but it came out to be bigger. It's bigger. Well, let's look at what happened on the race issue. He loses everything. All the Africans, like for instance, they are watching on TV. They got TVs over there now, and they lose. So Russia looks. That's the U.S. That's all them people doing that. That's their old European colonial folks doing that. They already didn't like them, and now they definitely showing the world, right? Invasions. Abu Ghraib invading independent countries. You can hear the news now. Well, that's what everybody's saying. Well, what are you talking about? You did Iraq twice. You helping people that need help. What are you talking about? Yemen, Syria. You sent 59 missiles to Syria, right? All of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You killed Gaddafi. Gaddafi was protecting Europe. Gaddafi, the king of Africa, he was helping all Africans. Now the Africans they got to come to Europe. Everything that you wanted to keep in place, You stole all his money. You stole all his oil because they got that sweet oil in Libya. You know what I mean? A good tasting oil, stuff like that. And everything they did in Libya, everything blew back in their face. The Arabs that they got took over was not like Gaddafi's people. Gaddafi's people, there's no racism amongst them. You never heard anything about racism. Not with Gaddafi. In fact, the Gaddafi came over, he gave Negroes money from America. That ain't usual. No, he gave every Negro group that, talked out of the side of their mouth, he gave them big money, enough to do something with, okay. Well, what happened? They made it a transit point. They're kind of trying to save Europe from people of color. Well, Gaddafi, they couldn't do it, and they cut out all of that. So now, they go to Libya, and then they get on them rickety boats, and 1 million of them drown going across, but they come into Europe. And from Africa, Italy, all of them is full of prostitutes from Nigeria, everywhere, right? In other words, the things that they want to avoid, boss man come in and said, no, we ain't going to avoid that. That's what we're going to bring in, right? So they had already done that. And now this one, what I meant by this one was, this is not a good surprise, but it's a historical reality. We didn't do it. We wasn't hoping for it. But 2 weeks ago, oil was already going up, but it's done exploded. That's increases inflation. If you go to the store here, if you went only 2 weeks ago, stuff costs a certain thing. Bam! Right now, you could see it. You know what I mean? You could see it going da, 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 and ain't nobody getting no extra money in it, right? And just wait till it's tacked on to the gas prices and oil prices. When it's going to take $50 and $60 to fill up a tank on these little bitty cars they got now, what do you think the American people are going to think about it? Right? That's not all. Heating oil for Germany. Okay, it's getting nice now. It's nice over here, but still Europe going to get behind us. It's like, if you go up north, when the springtime comes, it comes late up north, and you get down to here and you get down to Atlanta, it's already starting to turn green, right? And if it's green down there and you're coming up here in the fall, it's still nice down there. And by the time you get up to Maine, don't go up to Maine because it'll be just snowing then. But I'm saying, in this country, you could tell, and this is a short distance, everything is different. You know what I mean? In short distances. Okay? So, with the oil prices, Europe, EU means caves and hillsides and rope to bind there. Never forget that. So what that means is that prices was already expensive for European cars. That's why the European cars, Japanese cars, Japan is an island. That's why they had them little bitty cars and fuel efficient years ago, when America was driving them big Cadillacs. Anyway, when that oil jumped in the 70s at super high prices, all the white folks went and got rid of them big old cars. You could get them almost for free on the lot. Who bought them? Negroes, because they wasn't thinking. 500 cubic inches, 9 miles a gallon on the highway. 7 miles a gallon in the city, 9 miles a gallon. And we bought them up. We couldn't afford them, but we liked big old cars, big old Cadillacs, Buick Dukes and the quarters and all that. That's what we bought. Anyway, white folks bought Toyotas and all that. We didn't start getting them little cars till 30, 20 years later. So buying them big old right. Anyway, when first of all, we got a great role to play here in America and in the world. We don't have a great role to play. We're playing that role now. We're playing that role now. Don't worry, boss man think he that's nobody see it, nobody hear it, nobody know it. But that's wonderful, right? When everything come out, the question will be, you knew that all the time and you still did this. So what we're doing is we're setting up the clown factory. Yeah, and we get a chance. You got to remember what this is. Some people have the idea to punish America for what it's done. We want to get back at them. Whatever Allah give you, use it. We're doing just what we do now. We're going to clown America. And when this all begin to come in, the world will be laughing with us about Boss Man. All these lectures that we made, they will be played all over the world soon. Yes, they will. And the people will say, when was that? Well, that was back in the day, right? Because Boss Man been mean to Indians, Negroes, and he got a guy, some movie, not a movie, but a picture of a Mexican with a big sombrero laying under a tree with the Z's going out snoozing. The hardest working people in this part of the world, is Mexicans. But they got him laying under a tree, you know what I mean, snoozing. Like that's what they do here. Okay. So we talk about humor all the time, but that's part of the whipping that Boss Man will get. But it'll be humor, not mean-spirited, not revenge. We're doing what we're doing now, and everybody know. We know what we're doing. The system know what we're doing, and they keep on doing it, but they refuse. So the way we're explaining the historical process is with humor. This guys, they just like all the other great empires in history. But that's what Allah gave the Negro, humor. And he's a nice guy. A good Negro is a pretty nice fella. I mean, the standard old-time Negro is not bad. He's forgiving. And that's exactly what we're doing, but we're doing it with humor. We're going to show the people who this monster is, and if we get the world to laugh at him, it'll cut down on millions of people getting killed because they'll be laughing at him. It's beyond their thinking. They think we just niggas running around. The water is on, or the car don't work. Hell, the car, I don't care nothing about them cars or water. You can flood the whole area if you want. We're getting our job done. We're playing into world history. I already know. I mean, I'm not saying I know, but it's been right so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? I mean, it has been. So that means that we have to use what Allah give us in the best way possible to get the best out of it for everybody. So we have to figure out how to get the people to help clean up the oceans, because the hadith say that the fish is making dua, right? That's what the hadith say. I'm not lying. One knowledgeable man is harder on the devil than 1,000 worshipers, right? It don't mean ignorant worshipers like somehow, just worshipers, people just worshiping. Allahu Akbar, they just really down with worshipers, that they ain't doing nothing. One knowledgeable man says the fowl of the air, the birds and the fish of the sea, they making dua. Oh my goodness, oh Allah. I know this wasn't, I heard a long time ago that they had something called fresh water, and I can't find it. It's got to be somewhere. How is this getting here? It must be somebody up there just doing it, right? Because fish got enough sense to know that something created it, and it's, you know what I mean? And if it's living in water, that he didn't fix the water to be nasty. Well, the hadith is saying the fish is making dua. They got to have some kind of sense, right? They got to have some kind of sense, not human sense, but like, man, this water, this is a trip. Something is wrong. This is not the way I heard about. Fish communicate too, some kind of way. I don't know. They be using little whiskers or something. I don't know. But I heard from some of them old fish that it used to be some nice water around here. Right? And then if it was filthy over there, you could keep swimming and you could get to some nice. Now you can't get nowhere. It's all filthy, everything. So, boy, I wish. That's what I mean. I'm just reading hadith. It says the fowl of the air, the fish of the sea, will make dua to Allah. So, I mean, who am I to argue with hadith? And it's Sahih hadith too, so they can argue with that. That's what we want to do. No, that's what we are doing. And it ain't new. This is not new. We thought about this for decades. And you can read in newspapers, so we talked about 20 years ago, we want to work with, we didn't say white people, but tree huggers and all kind of good white folks. We've been saying that. To clean up, to make the earth like it was when Allah gave it to us. Can you imagine a few generations ago that everything everybody did helped, at least the Indians, they helped things recycle, The white boy told me up at UC Berkeley. He said, well, what is the difference if that chair or desk is made out of plastic or wood? I said, well, the plastic takes 10,000 years. That's what they said. To decompose, and wood will be decomposed, and you can grow stuff right out of it in a generation or two. It's going to decompose, and the leaves dry up, get decomposed right away. And if you keep planting, if you got the trees going up, pretty soon you got a big layer, thick layer of fresh, you know what I mean, healthy soil. Well, what the heck? I said, okay, you're here at Berkeley, boy, but you ain't got no sense. This is what I was telling the white boy. He was taking an Arabic class. I said, you don't know the difference between plastic and wood? Shoot. Well, you better get you an education. You better get your education. Okay, anyway, Vanguard in America. That's us. That's us because we want to play a good part. Okay, we're already playing a good part. We're already playing a good part. Okay. And that's why when you get a chance to select the part you're going to play, you select the part hopefully that will fit into history in a good way. You know, that's why no matter how mean boss man is, you have to make allowances for him. He's stupid. He don't know any better. He can't do. If he could do better, he would probably do better. Yeah, I mean, you know. The Negroes he hire, well, all he hires every Negro he can find, he's going to hire. So you have to institute a policy which is workable. The other policies don't fit the time in which we're living in. Okay, I don't believe personally that this is a time to institute all the old principles of success in movement, in organization, like the Algerian movement, FLN. If you stole something, if it was only $500, they would kill you. That was the discipline of the movement. No, they disciplined. So it was like, might as well be a mafia. You know, technically Jahiliyyah is like that. If you rob a bank with a lot of guys and you lose a lot of the money, the rule is you just have to go. We can't go through any. That's the rule. It's not an arguable. You don't argue about the rule. Where's the money? Okay, well, you know the rule, right? Okay, in this dispensation, in this period of time, those old rules will, okay, it's my estimation, it's my understanding, and I know those rules, but I never use those rules, even in Jahiliyyah. You know, they show pictures of the Godfather. Well, that's what I was, but I was laughing all the time and helping everybody. And if you didn't pay me some money, I just, pay me the money. I never went broke. I never, you know what I mean? And so I was talking to one of my partners just passed away. I said, we never even beat nobody up. He said, yeah, but we was ready. In other words, they wanted to be gangsters and they wanted to, we have power now, and I said, I'm not going to do that. That ain't the reason for being here. This is these open enterprises. Now, that was one time, Allah just helped me. One time, I remember looking at one of my pictures. I said, that nigga there is mean. Good God Almighty. But I was only that way for a few months. Because I looked at the picture, I said, I didn't start out like that. And I remember that's something that a white man said. What is a man that gain the world and lose his soul? I said, that nigga there, that ain't me. Because I looked at all the other pictures I had. I said, look at that face. That boy is happy and friendly, right? So, but that's what East Oakland Enterprises was. It was to help everybody, get, at that time, to get wealthy, to get rich, where you don't have to work for the white man. You can work for yourself. Bump the white man. So that's what we did. Okay, it don't make no difference what all of the Negroes in the world say. History already know that's the way we did. That's the way we did there, and that's the way we did here. That's the way we did here. Okay, if you look at it, okay, just because we own more property than any other black group in the area, well, that's good, but we're not going to change our character because of we got this and we don't have that. That's not what it is. I feel we're getting better all the time. All right. All I know is this: the way we're going, I'm feeling happier and healthier than ever before. I mean, I can't run as far, but I feel fine. Yeah, I feel fine. Why? Because I'm not hooked up in organizationally. We're not hooked up in some physical thing we got to pull off, right? If we want to make a new world, we have to use new policies, not new policies, but the best policies. We've been talking about out Mandela way back when. The stuff Mandela used is old time. We got to use newer, even more, let's call it humane, because humane, what humans do now, they ought to call it doggish, animalistic, because anyway. But we have this opportunity to set the rules according to, we're going to set our sails the way we want to go. Bump what they think is, it don't make no difference. Everybody in and around our stuff have been funny, just about, The Iranians have been funny. I remember I went down to Houston, old Hashim was teaching a class. And he was teaching the class, the little foreign students was there. And I had three, it was preteen, they were teenagers about then. They were part of the Imam Musa fan club. They went to the school. So, Imam Musa, da, 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 da. Now I saw them a few years ago, and I said, well, the Imam Musa stuff was way back then, because, they were like grown, and I'm looking, I said, no. If your daddy see us in the corner giggling and laughing, it ain't like that, y'all was kids. But they would tell me, they said, no, Hashim is telling us da-da-da-da-da about our parents and family. And then I'm sitting in the class one day, and Hashim is talking about, he was talking about, he would teach black history and, and other stuff. He was a pretty good teacher. But he was teaching it like, almost like I was there. And then I'm remembering what he's saying in California. All the cutie pies at UC Berkeley. Oh, Hashem, he got hair go like this here. And all of them was tenders. Now, I'm a grown man, so I didn't want to bother with them, but I wouldn't mind if they, I wouldn't marry a black woman. You couldn't, no, he said, you couldn't melt her, a black woman, and pour on top of me. I said, this nigga here, I've heard that before, is beyond racist. And even he had an Iranian, his Iranian wives were the lighter, not the dark-haired, the black-haired Iranians. No, absolutely not. Those upper Turkish, you had to call them white Iranians, not Iranians with black hair. And you don't mess with them. I mean, they're real Iranians, like you see in the pictures of some of that, from the old art and stuff, calligraphy. You see a Persian woman, and he doesn't like them. No, indeed, no siree. The point I'm trying to make is, I was fortunate because no matter what I had done here, when I said what I said about him down there in Texas, we had dinner at a restaurant, and all the Iranians was on his side. I said, hold it, I've been here, been working with y'all for 20-something years, And this bum just got here the other day. I said, it's nice seeing y'all. I was glad. So I knew that all of them, the good ones went home, and the ones that this was several years ago, stayed here. They was all on his team. It was all on his team. Excuse me for answering this, but it might be some friends of ours, and I might want to. No, this is this. Salam alaikum.
You see, it's almost 80 degrees outside.
Yeah, it's burning up out there. That's right.
What the heck? I woke up and I found my blankets. Oh, well, I obviously woke up hours ago, but I didn't peek outside, and I'm like, what? I'm shocked. It's like
Okay. I'm just telling you, it's the white man. He didn't mess with the weather, and that's it. It's all over. So no, just get on the team. Just get on the team and help me fight the white man and get good weather back.
Yeah, well, that's literally why I study public health. So I've been on the team for a bit.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm in class right now, so Assalamu alaikum. Yeah. So anyway, I thought that might be some of the. Anyway, sometimes you can make fun of people because they need help. One of the main things is never allow people to set your pace. Like some people, they might call and they might say dumb stuff just to make you mad. You can't let dummies. If you listen to a dummy, then you be a dummy. So if a dummy called here and say, my father sold me into slavery, right? And I know that, out of all the kids, I bought my father a nice Cadillac and everything. But the first vision I had about success was I watched the old television program, Desilu Playhouse, and it was about Al Capone. I was 17. And I said, hey, man, I would love, if I was a gangster, I'd like to drive up to my mother's house and give her, in a big old gangster car, and give her $1,000, I did that. It was maybe 5 years later, but after a couple of years in the penitentiary. But I did that. That was nice. So I don't care if a dummy say you was talking about your own mama. I know the history. Oakland knows the history. The world knows the history. If they didn't, if you know it, it doesn't make no difference what they, them, or that thinks. But you should not hate even people who are dumb. Remember, if they're dumb, they're dumb and they need help. That's part of your job, is to help dummies, people that are dumb. Yeah, if they hit you, it's like the Bible. If they hit you on one side of the cheek, turn the other cheek. I mean, in religious fare, not in social. Nigga walk down the street and just bust you upside the head. You don't have to say, oh, bust me, because he don't understand, and it wouldn't make no sense. But in what we're doing, they are programmed by the system to change you from what. I look at it like this. I don't think we're neutral or getting worse. We're getting better. We're getting better, and then Allah is making it better and explaining it better, and we are doing what anybody that have sense would dream about doing in the period in which, so we're contributing to our period. And we're going to contribute it in the best way possible. So we don't want to pay nobody back. You can't pay the white man back for whooping your behind, you can't pay him back for it. It's too much. He done did too much. You just waste your time paying him back. This is a thing about transition and revolution. I didn't mean to get into this, but since I'm here, I might as well stay for a minute. In this transition period, right, what's been one of the biggest drawbacks of revolutions? Robespierre and his crew in the guillotine. They just, the guillotine, they just was, they was rolling. And it would be the Russian Revolution or any other, they be rolling on each other, right? So why would we want to have things like that here, and all the people who are trying to help is basically our people? And then the young people here born in America, you saw them down there at the demonstration. They have no idea what's going on. And if it's the style to go out and wave, I like niggers, they'll do it. And half of them do. Because it's what it's the thing to do today. In their grandparents' time, great-grandparents' time, it was, I hate niggers, and they all waved, I hate niggers too. I'm right along with y'all. So it's the wave. What you get people doing, the people are going to go along with it generally. So we got a chance to send a good wave through this. There's alternatives to that too. Bloodbath that they've never been seen before. Those are the choices for this transition. There's too many weapons. There's too many everything, right? There's too many ways. You can put some poison in somebody's drink and kill up a whole, you know what I mean? It's all kind of scientific oogly googly. You got to do that good. This go round, it can't be none of that. If it is, it's all over, right? So we know what we're doing. It ain't no surprise. I mean, we're just going to be nice about the whole thing. But we have to know who everybody is, what they're doing, and what things lead to. This time is one of the, it's a lot of killing and dying going on, but this is one of the most clarifying periods. And this was a surprise. Just the last 2 days, the invasion. Well, what is it? Putin invades, what's the name? But he done told everybody for 2 months. He done brought 100,000, 115,000 troops up to the border. Hey, man, if y'all do that, I'm going to go on and do this. That's the way it is. And I'm not playing either. And they thinking, we got everything on our side. They don't have nothing on their side. They ain't got the allies, they making them do everything, right? NATO is finished a long time ago. And racism, everything, this is a perfect storm for ignorance, right? It's a manifestation of defects. The defects in the whole U.S. policy is right there for everybody to see. The racism from here to Ukraine. We don't want no niggas allowed. You bringing money over here, you're a great student, you're contributing to our side, but you're a nigga. We don't want you. You got to get at the back of the bus. Some of the students were saying, after 3 waves, we just pushed our way in and said, that's it. We're not letting nothing leave until we can go. It's on TV, right? Everybody see it. Everybody know it. The point I'm making is this. This stuff is big. And I know it sounds grandiose what we're talking about, but I don't hear nobody in the world talking about how to manage the process for the good. Everybody's still trying to get their little piece of the pie. You can't get a piece of this pie. It smells, it stinks. Who wants a piece of that? I want a piece. I said, well, that's okay. You get yourself a piece of that I don't want no piece of that, right? So, yep, it's like they done blocked all the rays of light that's coming to the people. The blessings of this war, uncovering of secrets. Surprise statements on race. It was a shock. The people wasn't thinking about all this racism. They was just thinking as Russians, as Ukrainians, they're all white. Nobody expected any race issue. They didn't expect anything real to come out of it. But it's all real, and it's not Mr. Putin. Mr. Putin is in Russia helping niggas or whatever he can, pretending to be. It don't make no difference. He don't have to be the nicest guy in the world, right? He's just not as bad as them, right? He's not as bad as them. He's not as bad as the U.S. If you think you're going to get a holy man type thing, the Chinese do this. What the hell, the Chinese is the Chinamen. So what do you expect? Right? And if they do 80% good, shoot, that's more than zero. Your homeboy does minus good. He don't do no 10% good or 15 or 2. That boy does minus, right? Tell the truth. The Americans, the Western European, they do minus good. They don't do like neutral, well, we just neutral, we're not involved. They do minus good, okay? So all of and everybody's adding up what's going on around the world. I'll wrap up in a minute. But they're adding up all the attacks in Yemen, all the attacks on Syria, all the attacks all over the world, what happened in Venezuela, what happened in here. Everybody is adding all that up. And they say, you guys did all of that. And you're talking about, what's the name? And you come up to his border talking about, he done had marauders, Germans and everybody, come over and slaughter them. And people are still alive during that time. And you want to tell them, oh, you can join with another crew kind of like that, and you got Nazis running around in Ukraine, right? And you expect them to just sit there and say, well, we have freedom and stuff like that, so you're free to be a Nazi. Yeah, somebody send you over there, you can be a Nazi over there, but you're not going to be it around my border, right? And it makes sense, right? Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, not that 27 million people is a lot, but it adds up. And the hadith, a Muslim is not bit from the same hole twice. So a Russian feel the same way. And this would be his third time. It would be Napoleon, and it would be the Germans. He said the French come in, and the Germans come in the next time, and all of them people, they might come in too. And we're not going to let them come in and do that to us. So, that makes sense. Okay. The longer we hold off, the stronger we get. This position that we have, the longer we hold off on it, the stronger we're going to get. Because we're going to get stronger. The system is getting weaker. The system is already clear. They can't deal with inflation. They can't, because they won't do nothing about it. And now technically it's probably too late to deal with, They won't deal with racism. They waved the flag of freedom and George Floyd for about 2 days, and they back to funding the police again. Well, we got to find a police, right? And yeah, I'm talking about, the man sounds like an idiot, you know, and the people got short attention spans where they don't remember. They don't remember long periods. So anyway, but there are some people that they be taking notes and they be remembering. It's a hold it, homeboy. Okay. So upgrade post Ramadan project. Post Ramadan project mean that probably going back to California. The way we do with this period, this is Shaban. Nifs of Shaban is probably about 2 weeks away, the 15th of Shaban. So we'll be preparing for the Ramadan. What we look to do every night, we would have food. No matter how many people is here, we'll have food for enough, so we can eat, pray, eat, and then zip on and head to. So no matter how far we go, no matter how I can see that the boss man is going to thin things out, because as soon as we start talking about different things, getting around the numbers even here, right away, it's no problem, no problem. Look, nothing is a problem. They can do what they want to do, okay. So we just do what we can, and we thank Allah for that. So we still want to prepare our teams for every night during Ramadan and for Eid. The flyers that we put out would be preparing everybody in the region for Eid, and it looks like that. It don't look like the boss man he's gonna keep as many people as he can away. So it doesn't make any difference. We'll we go out, get what we can. We'll go there back to California, do what we can. We'll sue the government for $300 million, maybe more. What the heck? Who cares? We're going to do right. It doesn't make any difference. If you're going to do right, all other stuff is peripheral. You know what I'm saying? But we as a movement will do the highest level of right that we can conjure up out of whatever is presented to us by the system and by the society and by the people. But in our behavior, we have a Quranic standard, a Hadith standard, and a historical standard. And that's what we're going to do. Whatever they want to do, they can do it. It's their business. But we're not going to ride with them. We're not going to allow nobody to make us mean, mad. They can put money in our box so they can keep it. It doesn't make it, it's not going to make us happier or sad, That's the thing. When you manage your own self, know yourself, know your enemy, 1,000 battles, 1,000 victories. It's simple. But know yourself the way you want to be. Most people don't get the opportunity to shape, form, and fashion themselves. They take the product that they have and do the best with what they have. But if all the stuff we've noticed guides to better living, no matter how far back you go with the Chinese, no matter how far you go back, the scriptures, whether the Jewish style, whether the Quranic style, it was always building a better human being. Okay. So we'll give that a try. That's all. We'll just, whatever we find is the best, we'll give that a shot. What the heck? Why try out fitna and foolishness? You don't have to try that out. It works. You become dumb. Right? If you do dumb stuff, you become dumb. There ain't no way around it. So just to change the subject. See, we know how they're treating us, what they fear. They are so sad that they can't make us mad. That actually rhymed, didn't it? I'm telling you. Yeah, of course I didn't mean it, but I'm going to say it again. They so sad that they can't make us mad. I'm going to write that down because that is, look, that's big. That's big. I'm telling you. Well, I'll remember, hopefully. Now, let me go on from here. This is about attitude. Yeah, and even something here. Shoot, we got pens everywhere. Very good. All right. Uh, the benefits of abandonment. Okay. That's a long story. Okay. We've been abandoned by everybody, and we'll go over some of the benefits the next go round. But the longer we hold off, the stronger we get. Very true. Uh, benefits of abandonment. We forecast based on historical patterns of behavior. Yeah, that's why we go by the patterns. You find the Quranic patterns, biblical patterns, historical patterns, right? And then the human patterns. So we can't go wrong. That's why we're not trying to shave it and make it say what we want. We're just taking it like it's given to us. The Irish Parliament, you should have heard, good God Almighty, the other day, that guy thought he was going to kill somebody. You know, talking about the war. He was talking about the other subjects we talk about. They've invaded this country. They had Abu Ghraib. They got this. Look what they do in the Palestinians. This is the Irish Parliament. I said, he ought to take a shahada, boy, in a hurry. Of course, the Irish are our friends. The Irish, not the Irish here, these police, but the Irish over there. I remember the country that's like pro-Palestinian and pro-Arab is the people in Ireland. They pro-Negro too. I was watching this program with the movie they made about that boat that they had. It was all Negro crew. And Clinton gave him some award during his time. And Ossie Davis was playing the old guy in it, and other people, you know. But anyway, when these guys, they was on a destroyer, you know, a U.S. destroyer in World War II. And so they took, when they got to Ireland, the captain said no shore leave because Irish is all white folks. And so then they kind of protested, so they let them go ashore. And they were shocked. The Irish, was treating them like human beings, and the women, everybody, tenders, you know. And so one guy was asking, he said, my name is Garvey. He said, do you know anything about Marcus Garvey? It might be, I'm trying to find out what our connection might be. This is a white guy in Ireland. Now remember, people that fight for freedom, they've fought for their freedom for 800 years. So they automatically I don't care whether it was Gaddafi, whether it was who was always showing up. The Irish. One of the main streets in Tehran is Bobby Sands. The guy he martyred starved himself to death in maybe 80, 81, something like that. Right. Yeah, Bobby Sands. They got a name. They got Bobby Sands in street, one of the biggest boulevards in Tehran. It's been that. It was. They started the day after the revolution. They called it Bobby Sands. The point I'm making is, when you look around the world, it's not the races that caused the most trouble was Europeans, but the Europeans that they oppressed is just like us. Yeah. Now the Irish that come over here and get on the police department, they'll shoot you and blow you away. But the Irish from back home, you'll notice that the Irish, even up to very recently, they was always hooking up with who? Arabs, blacks, and everything. Yeah. So anyway, that was a good movie. Benefits of abandonment: we forecast with patience, sober, speaking, analysis, implementation. Okay. So out of everything, it's good to analyze, but implementation is better. You have to remember, we are implementing our policy now. You might think, well, we should do those things and those things. They're important, but the important thing is what we're doing right now. And I just want to say, this is not a new phenomenon. As if you look at Zafa Bangash, you look at Crescent, you look at all the people that was involved in movement, like, I want you to think about it. When Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui, he knew he was going to pass away, you got to think, who did he select? Who did he have all these people? Out of all those people, just think about who he pointed at, right? That was then. That was back in 96. So you have to think about, well, what was he doing that, and what was the other guys doing? Why didn't they, their Arabic was better. They were Pakistanis and everybody involved. Why he didn't say nothing about them like that? Out of the South Africans, out of the Europeans, he's the head of the Majlis Ashura Islamiyah. He's the one we're reading about. He's the leader of the Muslims at that time, creating the new global civilization of Islam. That's why we're there. So why did he say that then? And I always thought about that. Whenever we had a program, Dr. Siddiqui had a heart problem. He had a big scar down his chest where they had really opened it up. So he used to walk a lot. So I used to run a lot. So I'd go out every morning. We would walk, and we would just walk and talk. I don't care if the program was in Texas, whether it was in Louisiana, we'd go out and walk and talk all the time. So something was coming out to him that made him, see something different than all these other guys. And what did they do after that? No niggers allowed. They was actually saying it, that we have to choose someone, leader of the movement, put a turban on them and stuff. And I was looking at them, and I could see what they meant. No niggers allowed. No. No I don't care what he said. I don't care who's adopted, incorporated the principles into their life. And it was like nice. I mean, when I think about it, we had a big conference in London, a big global conference. Look, Imam Musa, you got we're right. We're everything is riding on you. You got to put. I said, Doc, take it easy. Don't worry about a thing. I got it covered. That's the conversation. In other words, we're all intellectuals. You got to put all of this together and make sense of it. That's what he's saying to me. That's what he's saying. Because at these big conferences, there's so many da-da-da-da-da. That's why I'm speaking on that conference just before he comes up. And if you notice, the thing is putting everything in a certain perspective. And think, what did Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui say 20-something years ago? Maybe 30 now, 20-something years. We all know about racism. He's saying it in South Africa. If anybody know anything about racism, apartheid, they know it. But this is a whole different ball game, We all know about racism. But this guy done illuminated what we have to do, what they have to do, how the Africans think, how the da-da-da-da-da, right? That's basically what he's saying. And everybody understood it like that. They couldn't swallow it. No niggers allowed. We're not going to pay any attention to that nigger. The next time I came, it was all the stuff was structured to undermine. So they send Muhammad al-Asi to a nice place with a lot of people, and they would send me out in the woods somewhere, to make a speech. Yeah, it's okay. It's their country. They wish they'd sent me somewhere else now. The way them niggas was whooping her upside the head over there, taking all their stuff since they had their liberation. Here's one thing about it. When the first time I went there, they just had the 94, that was during the election time. Three, 4 years later, they wish they was back in apartheid. All of the Muslims, because see, remember, they kept everybody separated then. So the Indians would have stores in the black community and everything, but they took their money. They were very wealthy. They took their money back to where they was. All of them had black servants, and they was wondering why the servants would look at them and tell their cousin where all the wealth is in the house. The niggas was breaking in every day, and they couldn't figure why. Like all of them was women, so I would let them know that yeah, we're all right. I don't look at you as a servant and everything, and I'd always leave them. First, I tried to leave them a package of money, and then the leader said no. Or these people in the house, I'll take care of it. So I stopped doing that. I started giving it to them. When I'd be in town and I'd see the girls worked here, the girls worked there, I could see what they do. They just tell their friend, their brother, their cousin, them niggas, they got this, that, and another all over the house, right? And they was robbing and they was beating them to death. And I was trying to tell them they got to treat the servants different. They still looking at them as servants. They want to give them as little as they can. They da-da-da-da-da. And I'm saying, hook them up, pay them more. Don't pay them them old South African nothing wages. And make them stay there all the time. Man, if you saw the people would have Saturday evening and Sunday off sometime. You should see them people, how happy they would be. Man, because the lady at the house would drive them back to the village or wherever they would be so happy. It's like they getting out of the penitentiary. You know, because I'd be walking a lot of places. I'd see them. They'd be just, you know. And then when I'd see them coming out, if I stayed in the house, you know, I would see some of the sisters going to another house. They got another job. They'd be waving, hey, what's going on and all that, because I treated them like human beings. So, you know, basically that's what our parents did. You know, as old as I am, you know, maids and all that. That's what the people of my generation, all their parents was, that's what they did. They was maids and servants and stuff like that for white folks or whoever had money. Anyway, so we know how they, anyway. These classes are negotiations with y'all. That's what they are. This is what I mean by negotiation. We have to negotiate with the system. These lectures are negotiation. We're telling them how we view this, and we got our lines drawn of what we want to do. And they have to do it like that. We're not going to trust them with, no matter what happened, they could be mean or they could be, it don't make no difference. It's possible that this could happen another way, but from our vantage point, we're preparing for which way we think the tree gonna fall. We're preparing for it, and we're preparing for it psychologically, intellectually, spiritually, and every other way. So far, our analysis has been correct that that's the way it's going to go. So we have to depend on that. And depending on that, that means we have to prepare ourselves for that. We can't be, this is too important to get a rebellion and then get all the niggas and all the white folks, all the Mexicans and everybody to want to kill all the white folks. That's because they deserve it. We can't do that. Not saying they deserve it, but the kids don't deserve it anyway. They're down there, they want everybody to be free, right? They wouldn't, and as far as this racism, they better watch TV and see that every commercial is a mixed race, right? And they better listen to all them Latin sounded stuff that's coming over. And now everything is coming out of the woods. I'm a Africa Latina. I'm and the same stuff they did to y'all, they do to us, the Latinos. And you got to be aware of all that stuff. Yeah, okay. So if we want to, I don't think the world is preparing for what's coming. I think the people are preparing for I think the environmentalists are trying to prepare for environmentalism. I think the revolutionaries are trying to prepare for a revolution, right? I think the racists are trying to prepare for, I think everybody is looking at their own little part of the elephant and not looking at the whole thing. Okay, we're looking at the whole historical process. So that means we're going to have to be really down with what we're talking about. Because everybody, as this thing gets loose, they're going to start pulling, even without knowing it, they're going to start trying to pull the world in their direction. Not in a global direction, but in their, whatever they're doing, everything is environment. Everything is not environment. It's only a part of it, right? As a historical reason, somebody got to be here with a plan worked out. And they have to go through a process of purification, tazkiyah, bilnas, to purify, to cleanse themselves. Because they can't have hatred, because boss man, soon as, if he can mix a little hatred and revenge with enough power, right, he can really manipulate things. And he'll be right back in power because he'll get everybody to kill each other off. Yeah. So we got to get there ahead of everybody. That sounds arrogant, but it's not arrogant, it's real. It makes sense. Every program is signal diplomacy. Signal diplomacy, you know, where Iran and they say you send us a signal and we'll respond to the. So Iran would say, okay, like 20-something years ago, we'll send you a signal. You can use our airspace to kill Taliban in Afghanistan or da 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 da, which they did, right? That's a signal. And the signal that the U.S. sent back was what do they call the axis of evil. That's that ain't no, that's a cold signal, boss man. We're trying to send. They was talking about signal diplomacy. That's when Clinton was in. You send us a good signal, but George Bush, he got the signals messed up. He said, instead of I love you, he got I hate you. So he responded. That's all his signals he ever got. So anyway, so all of what we're doing that right here. That's what the talk is about, is signal diplomacy. We're telling boss man where we're coming from, and we're not going to be in anything. You can do what you want. We hope you get some sense. Why do we hope we get sense? Because we've been on, it's been at least 20 years that we've been talking about. It's a certain amount of good people, what we in the FBI and other institutions. Everybody's not bad in there. Some people believe in the Constitution. For us, that's good enough. They believe it. George Bush said it's a rag, right? He said that rag, the Constitution. He called it a rag. Okay, some of the people in the FBI actually believe in the Constitution. Some of the people, okay, so I'm saying 10% of the systemized people probably, I don't know, it could be 15, it could be 5. But there's some people, we have to appeal, we have to keep our message focused and consistent. So the people either watching, listening, they may be at coffee talking about, you know what the nigger said yesterday? He said, and he's been saying this all along, that hey, thinks this, that, and other. Let them talk about it, right? Pretty soon, we feel that word is already around, that's around. But I was talking to the FBI, must have been 10 or 15 years, something like that. And something come up. I said, don't y'all read it? You never read a history book? You haven't read a history book? I mean, I was like shocked at him because I was saying something, they said something else. I said, you never read a history book? You would be shocked at the stuff that come over our desk. I said, shoot, it ain't no sense come over there, I know that. Okay, so we'll see. Your response is your signal to us. How they respond to what we're doing, if we're trying to do right and they have the truck sitting over there for years now, we'll fix it whenever we get ready. But hell, there ain't nothing wrong with it, so why did it pour water in it and it keeps coming out? I didn't do nothing. There ain't no freeze plug, right? So they have to stop that dumb stuff. That's not a correct response. It's not a correct response. It's not a good signal, right? If I go get my car fixed and I'm getting ready to go to California again and it's fine for about a week, and then I said, oh, the same thing happened to us before. They have to stop doing that. That's bad signal. That means that we don't accept your proposal. That's what it means to me. And I say, you're stupid. But it's no big deal, because who's going to hell? It would be a miracle if you didn't accept the prophets and they was commissioned by God, by Allah. How you going to accept a nigga and he's self-commissioned? I commissioned myself as a smart nigga. Yeah, nigga. It's almost hilarious. You know, like I said on one of the flyers, I'm self-commissioned. How is it? Okay, so, I mean, you can't blame them for not, how did you get that commission, nigga? Hell, I gave it to myself. I'm self-commissioned. What are you know what? So, it don't make no difference if you're right all the time, right? You're self-commissioned. And for him to, I'm not upset about him. Who in the hell would, nigga, you got to be joking. Okay. Desired outcome. Cooperation, managed direction of change. We're still into the same thing. The world has changed, and we want to help manage the direction of change. I got a lot of stuff, but this is enough. I got here. I'll close with this. It ain't put Musa over the storehouses. You know, that's what, and Yusuf saved the society, right? Okay, nobody else they're not morally, this is not arrogant what I'm saying, but we've been studying and preparing for this for decades because we made a decision a long time ago. Well, what's going to work? We had a revolution, right? So what has a chance of working? And you choose 3 or 4 things that have a chance, or whatever, so you set that on the side. What we're doing now and what we've been doing has a slight chance, at least a 2 or 3% chance of working. The other ones don't have no chance. That's just our opinion. Violent revolution, no chance. It won't work. It just kill everybody. And now it's super killing. You know what I mean? Not just regular killing, with axes and baseball bats. But I mean precision. That would be, anyway. All right. Manage the direction of change. And in closing, we're negotiating with the system right now, but this is a different style of negotiation. We're stating our case, and we're stating which way the world seems to be going, and they can examine it, see what they do. Okay, most of them are hooked into the system where they can't see anything but what the system say. Maybe at least 50% of them will shoot and kill or bust the head of anybody that they're told to because they're kind of robotic. This is normal. But it might be a 5 or 10% of people that know that ain't working. And they may never did like it. They may never did like it, but they got in there, they joined the FBI, they thought it was a wonderful thing. And they got in there and they found out that they was just going around oppressing people. And they realized, and they look at some of the old movies and read, they say, why, there's no difference between us and Nazis. We are technically National Socialists. We're Nazis. And our leaders behave like Adolf Hitler. Our leaders kill and murder people all over the world, just like Adolf Hitler. In fact, Hitler was better because he would tell you, hey, I don't like y'all. You a gypsy? Well, shoot, you better get out of town. Just basically that's what Hitler said, right? He let everybody know this is where we're going. Now, if you ain't got enough sense to get out of town, right, then what do you want me to do? Right? He started this stuff way back in the 30s. So he didn't pop up on them and say, we switching up. That's the way boss man here do. Well, he kind of let you know too. But the Führer was clear on what he was thinking about all the time. So maybe the people were slow. They didn't understand or something. But anyway, so different style, type of negotiation. We are negotiating until future process of global reality, blah, 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 what physical world we will live in. In other words, we're negotiating right now. These lectures are negotiation. We're telling boss man what we think and what we expect. And he can do what he wants. If he keep pulling the spark plugs loose, I'll begin to think that boss man don't like us and he don't accept our proposal. Well, we'll just keep on doing what we do. It don't make no difference. We would like for him to accept it. But one thing is relatively sure. The world is not going in the right direction and he don't have enough backbone to fix it. He can't fix it because he won't fix it and all that stuff. He's trapped in history. That ain't no fun. We're not trapped in history. Our history does not guide, well, it has some influence. What I mean is, our history as being beaten, drugged, and abused does not form who we are. And what we are is exactly opposite of what that would produce. Mean, hateful, get back type people. We're exactly opposite of what we do. Anyway, so are there any questions or comments? Any questions or comments at all? But the world, the boss man, and we'll be going to it in more detail. All the mistakes he made with what's happening right now. Hey man, how he jumped into that bowl of shit, I cannot imagine. He just dove in, not feet first, he dove in like, whoosh. He just dove in and ain't nobody with him. All them people, you think the French are with him and he done just stole the doggone contract for all the submarines? They're not with him. And what the U.S. is saying, like they used to say about Egypt, they wanted Egypt to fight for Palestine to the last Egyptian. In other words, now the Americans want the Europeans to fight for America to the last European. They don't get nothing. They're not going to get no wheat. They're not going to get nothing. And dear friends, we got a freeze coming up. We appreciate y'all freezing to death. And we definitely appreciate y'all paying our equivalent of $10 a gallon, which would be $4 a liter or something like that, because the liter is 2.5. We appreciate all that from y'all. And we hope you're buried in a nice place and have a good life. Thank you very much. That's boss man. That's the way they're looking at him. That's the way they're hearing all of that because they see what he's doing. Yeah, and he'll double cross them. I mean, without any reason. He don't have no reason to double cross the French with the Australians. And the Australians can't get them damn submarines for 10 years from now anyway. To build a nuclear submarine is way off in the future. I mean, way off. I heard something like 50. We'll complete that after 15 years or so. 15 years? They'll be flying underground helicopters up in the air, whatchamajus by then, right? Artificial intelligence for 15 years from now. Look today and look back 15 years. I used to go to the library to study and get all those books. I could get all that on the phone. I didn't even know it till a little while back. I was so old-fashioned that I was just, let me go to the library to get it. And the kids were saying, Dad, you don't have to, you got all those CDs and DVDs you're taking all that on a trip? Yeah, I'm getting it all fixed up for a trip. I used to have you copying stuff. That wasn't long ago. They said, Dad, you don't have to do that. Just take this little thing, plug it into your radio, and stick your phone. I said, I don't want to do that. And they telling me to do it, and I could see what, where you see what they saying, but you don't see it. And it's too simple. It really, that's all you do. Dad, there's no lecture you can't get on your phone. I don't care what it is. You can get it on your phone. Then you can stick it in a little plug in the radio, and it'll play stereophonic stuff out of your radio. You don't have to listen to that thing that you're taking with you and you can't hardly hear it. Right? That's what the old age you do. You get so used to doing. The white man been hurting people so long, he don't even know. He don't know what the hell you're talking about. Doing right. Wait a minute. Doing right. What is that exactly? How do you do it? How the hell do you do right? How is it composed? Right? Yeah. That's the first thing is how. Yeah. What do I get out of it? Well, you get the joy of doing good. The joy. You mean like I'm happy with doing good? Shoot. You got the wrong man. You got the wrong organization. We don't do that. We don't do it not because we can't afford it. We don't do it because we just don't do that. It's not part of the DNA that I ain't never heard of it before. Why would we do that? Even though it's good to do. Why would we eat that? And it tastes good, it's healthy for you. Why would we want to eat that? We go to McDonald's and pay for that SHIT. We could go down there and buy some French fries that last 20 years. Right? You ever see the picture? Why would we want to eat something that is decomposed in 2 days if you have it sitting out there? And you could set the stuff we eat out there for 20 years. It'll look the same. Shoot. That ain't no bargain for me. I want that to last for 20 years. Just cause it'll eat up my stomach and where they have them little things that go like it's white and black and it turns, hypnotize you. I want that. I don't want the clear vision of nothing like that. Okay, are there any questions, any comments?
Someone did say on Friday's broadcast, they said, I love this,
Oh, okay, alhamdulillah. Friday. Oh, what we was doing last Friday?
Yeah, last Friday, yeah.
Out there,
Out there at
PGMA, very good.
love that with like one of those stickers.
Oh, okay. Right, well, alhamdulillah. No, by the time we finish, uh, not everybody, but we will be very probably popular because the stuff that we're saying, the people know it's right, but it just, they wouldn't want to be too close to it. But you don't have to worry. Boss man is going to whoop everybody so bad that he'll make them so upset. You know, I could imagine the poor African in closing watching listening to the white folks saying on the news, well, see, these people here, they're European, very civilized, and they're not black. They're blonde haired, blue eyed. Can you imagine? This isn't a third world country. This is, hey, these are like white folks, man. This is like your neighbor, right? To them, the guy, he had to catch himself. Somebody called him after he said, boy, you are stupid. But he was serious. Yeah, he just, yeah, because he did say, he made not an apology before he said it, but he said something that lets you know that, well, I have to say this. These are white people, you know, and he didn't have to say that. And then the black people, hey, man, everything is, this is the way it was in the days of old. Everything happened to clarify it, that everybody could see it. It's up to them to whether they take it or not, you know. And that's what our job is. We're just going to put it out there, and we're not going to become mean-spirited and hateful. It's just not good. Okay, are there any more questions or comments? Okay. Okay. Kula kali hada. We'll stop.